Congressman Dan Crenshaw of Texas, member of the Intelligence, Energy, and Commerce Committees, is in focus today. Great to see you. I want to start with who's staying back to work. I know I had read that you got to be on quick call within 24 hours to come back. Why not just stay in D.C. and get this thing done?
Well, of course, there's only a handful of people actually doing the negotiations, and it's on the Democrats right now. Republicans don't need to feel like their backs are against the wall. The Democrats do, and behind closed doors, they're definitely panicking. You just played some of their rhetoric. None of that rhetoric makes any sense, right? They're talking about us defaulting on the debt. No, we already passed a bill that increases the debt limit. We already passed it. The Democrats haven't come back with anything. And so until they do, I mean, they're going to continue to dig themselves into this hole, and they have to lie to the public to try and make a counter argument. It's not working very well. You just read the polling. Americans aren't on our side with this.
Well, absolutely they are, because they see what happens when you have more bills than you have money to pay, because they're dealing with high inflation right now. They are literally living their own debt crisis. So trust me, they get it. I just want to spell this out, because this is a little unbelievable, Congressman. So when we hear the speaker say he really acquiesced, just even being so patient for 97 days, we actually hit the current debt limit of $31.4 trillion back in January. And the Treasury Department has been using extraordinary measures just to get to this point. We're out of time.
Yeah, we are. And look at it, how that default happens is kind of anyone's guess, and it's complicated. I mean, you do get revenue on a consistent basis. But yeah, we are out of time, and everyone is treating June 1st as a hard deadline when at least some bills can no longer be paid. And you'll see the markets react. It'll be a problem. And again, the Democrats have backed themselves into a corner here. They've left themselves no other options because they've let their rhetoric get out of hand. They've let it become very extreme. Republicans were smart about this. We said, look, we're going to have demands that are easy to explain to the American people and make sense to the American people. Like you said, 60+% of the American people think you should probably have some spending controls if you consistently have to raise your own credit limit. And maybe those spending controls should be things like, hey, let's claw back some of the money that's unspent for COVID-era policies. All right, let's maybe not spend $70 billion hiring a bunch of IRS agents. And let's not forgive a bunch of student loans for doctors and lawyers, because that doesn't make sense. These are very reasonable things. Like, hey, look, if you're an able-bodied single adult, maybe you should have work requirements if you're getting government welfare checks. Everybody agrees with this stuff. We're in a very good place, and the Democrats have offered nothing in return.
Well, it's really disheartening to see the White House just assume that the American public doesn't get what you just said. Of course they do. They'd be the people who'd be doing the work. And purpose. I mean, a life with purpose is what it's all about in terms of raising families, so on and so forth. I do want to just ask you about the mood on Capitol Hill. You mentioned the panic among the Democrats. I mean, I guess that's what we're watching.
Yeah, I think so. Look, I always note what the Democrat rhetoric is, and that tells me what kind of job we're doing as Republicans. So what I mean by that is, if Democrats have to lie about what we're doing, then we're doing a good job, because they don't have actual counter arguments. If they don't have to lie and they can make effective counter arguments, then that means we didn't do a good job explaining ourselves, or maybe our policy is out of line with the American people. But I know our policies are good, and I know our messaging is good when the Democrats have to literally lie. So yesterday they got up and they said that we passed the Default on America Act. That's what they called it, the Default on America Act. It's, there's 50% lies, there's 80% lies, but that's 100% lie, because the bill we passed is literally the opposite of default. It actually increases the debt limit. Now, you can argue that you don't like the provisions we put in it and negotiate with us, but they don't want to argue that, because they know what we put in there is wholly reasonable and supported by a vast majority of the American people. And so what do? They lie. And that tells me that we've done a really good job crafting this the right way, crafting the message, putting the right policies in there that make sense to a majority of Americans.
Wow, you're on the right track when the other side takes the wrong position of lying about it. Congressman Crenshaw, do you think you'll get a deal before next Thursday, real quick?
I'm optimistic. Biden has to sign something. He has to sign something. He knows that he would take all the blame for this. They can yell and scream all they want, but the truth of the matter is the American people are paying attention. They know who's at fault. They know we already passed a debt ceiling increase, and they know that we've been the ones trying to negotiate in good faith.
And the American public knows it.
Exactly.
Because they've watched it. Thank you for being in focus. Appreciate you.
Good to be with you.